That's a
What
jam.
up,
This is a
everybody?
bop right here.
Yeah, we got some Monster Cat going, man. I'm paying for music so that we have cool music content to have on the background of this. But welcome back, everybody. We got episode 3 of Pause and Predict. This is MooshuBeef here. I'm joined by Volamel. How's it going? What are you sipping on there?
Oh, it's a little coffee.
Is that coffee?
Yeah. The
Sure?
boy's been awake for a total of T-minus 3 hours.
Well,
4
I mean,
hours.
this could be, if you weren't watching live, this could be any time of the day. So we won't.
It really could be. Good morning.
Confirm
Good
or
afternoon.
deny. It's always morning
Good
somewhere.
evening. It is true.
Except for when one morning is over the Pacific, maybe.
You know, I'm not trying to get existential. I can't do math. Geography is not my strong suit. Neither is history. I may have failed school. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, nah, I'm probably about the same place too. But yeah, anyways, welcome to Pause and Predict. So the whole goal of this is to improve game knowledge by studying VODs of the best there is, and right now, or I should say pro play, because we're not going out here and saying we're making a tier list or anything, and that Korea is the best, especially since Slasher today tweeted that Korea's number 4 out of 7 regions or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a little bit more in terms of criteria and why he put how he put the list together, but I think maybe I could become agreeable to that. Brazil's definitely a region I know next to nothing about, so that's very interesting. But with their history in Counter-Strike, I would definitely have to assume they're probably doing well for themselves, and obviously NA and EU, you know, competitive at least.
Right.
Competitive.
For sure. I mean, that's why we're excited for pro play. But before we get there, we got to get through Masters, and that's what we have here today. Is we are finally in Masters. We finally have Masters UI. Volamel, you know, I'm both so excited for this. Just seeing utility, seeing the guns they have.
It really is a different viewing experience.
Seeing the players, you remember who's where, who's doing what, why they didn't. We were malding last night. I'm not gonna lie. I was malding. I think we were both malding a little bit at some players because we had more information. So I'm excited to get this Pause and Predict going. Hello, Willow. Welcome. Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into it. Who do we got here today, Mr. Volamel, TNL Esports, and Nuturn? What do we got to know about these teams?
To kind of put it bluntly, Nuturn and Team Muyaho are probably the two teams racing for second in Korea at the moment. Neither one seems to have like a big edge up on the other. Both kind of play a very similar style to the region leaders and Vision Strikers, but obviously a little less impactful, a little less, you know, potent, but very slow, very methodical. I think if anything, Team Muyaho is probably a little bit more individualistic. They have their individual stars. Buzz tends to really kind of be that spearhead that they look for to make picks and open up space with the op. Whereas Nuturn is the opposite aspect when you look at Vision Striker. So Vision Strikers, everybody can do it. Everybody can kind of be individual stars, but they also can be very strategical. If you had to kind of make a family tree of the two teams, Muyaho inherited the individual star power. Nuturn inherited the strategy. They're not necessarily the most like flashy, super pop off. They have their moments, but it's not like a defining factor of them. What really defines them is their slow kind of control-y, you know, very Vision Striker-esque map control dominance, choking out information, being able to take sites with just utility and map movements. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to see today. Obviously, we've looked at TNL in the past, not a team that has struck either of us as being super, how to put this nicely, all together. Right. I think their big defining factor is how controlled they play their post plants, how controlled they play their retakes. But past that point, didn't look all that promising in challengers versus Apex people, but obviously with the rematch a little bit closer, you know, a little bit more dominant, So maybe we'll see some life out of them. But you know, this is effectively like a number 2 seed versus like a number 5, 6 seed. Not a match that, you know, a very clear favorite. It shouldn't be super close.
It shouldn't be, but loser goes home. Extra pressure here.
Yes, it is a decider match.
And I've really tried to not get the spoilies on this, but this is a best of 3. So first to 2 map wins will take it home, and we'll advance to the semifinals of Group A, and then we go from there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. I think one thing that will be an interesting thought exercise here, again, coming from the caster's perspective, is how do you cast and how do you look at a game that is a stomp? I hear a lot of people really just being like, oh, dude, stomps are like the worst and they're boring and they're bad. And it's like, look, more often than not, especially when you're climbing through the ranks of play, having close matches is really not super common. Of course, it really depends on the game that you have. But yeah, I really want to explore those nuances. But anyways, we do have this Nuturn on the defense here in the green. Oh my goodness. All right. Here we go.
Immediately out for mid control on pistol. That's really interesting.
So all those kills happened right outside of garage.
Breakneck.
So they just gunned it out of defense, trying to set the tone. All right.
That almost feels like, I hate to like look into like one like 5-second pistol round, but that almost feels like they've scrimmed them enough to know that they favor, you know, mid, very aggressive mid plays, and they kind of just beat them to it. Nothing to put a ton of stock in, but yeah.
I mean, I wonder, this goes into another idea that we had, right? Us as people watching from the outside in, projecting onto this, how much of that is that a tilter or not? Or you kind of shrug it off because that happens so quickly? I'd love to be able to
control, you know, it's pistol.
It's first round.
It is what it is.
It's control.
It's first round.
Yeah.
Another thing to kind of note with TNL is they do have their individual stars. Obviously, TS
for sure.
XC, I keep referring to him, or my brain keeps making, you know,
the other player
crossing over the Overwatch.
Right.
Yeah. And they're both, you know, they play kind of a similar not style, but
right,
hit scan main, you know, somebody who is quite good at Valorant. So
right.
And Ritzy's very good too, coming over from Damwon earlier. 4K from the boy Ritzy.
So one thing that did happen there, I know we're kind of still setting the scene. This is something that we've seen TNL do before, excuse me, NTS specifically, getting the bomb plant down really quickly, and getting the out of there.
Yep, big offsite. When you plant for B, at least from my experience, a lot of the presence for that defense of that bomb, or spike rather, is offsite. I think the only site that probably is different is probably A. I think C, normally you want to be wrapping around getting control of Cubby, and if you can afford it, or you know, have the resources, the power, the manpower, whatever you want to call it, to be able to go even deeper into C long, control that big lane, control that highway, really cut the map off, and stop people from really being able to wrap you, because that's when things really start to break down. When you go for those denial plays, when you try to play the post plant for a denial rather than necessarily like playing for the site itself.
Right.
B is very similar. You want to take control of mid window. Once you get that bomb down, maybe have a couple people in the site itself to control the wings and the links, but for the most part, it's about garage, it's about mid window, and really, again, playing for the denial. There's enough resources and utility in this game that will kill you if you don't respect it. Again, you look at Hunter's Fury, if you have a ton of lethality in this game compared to CS, so you can really play for denial rather than, you know, trying to keep space so they can't necessarily attempt to diffuse the bomb spike.
Right. You're talking in terms of the reason why post plants are so viable in a game like Valorant versus another tac shooter like Counter-Strike.
That's where I would maybe I'll play semantics with the definition. It's not necessarily that the post plants are viable. I think post plants are very good.
True.
And it's just kind of a broad
the definition of what you do after you're done planting, right?
Instead of playing for like an active post plant, it's more very passive, denying the attempt to defuse rather than trying to keep them off of the spike per se.
Got it. For sure, especially with the lineups and that we expect these players to have at this level.
Yep.
We're zooming on through here. Looks like they had a pause.
The shock darts, the hunter's furies, the raise nades. So there's so many different kinds of just high damage utility that you can get multiple uses out of. You look at a lot of the ultimates they're very like in vogue these days. A lot of them will just kill you if you don't respect it, and you're seeing a lot of use out of that in those post plants. So
absolutely.
B
First
and C
gun
are
round.
definitely Nuturn.
I was just saying,
very uncharacteristically
this
aggressive.
is interesting. Yeah,
this is not normal.
I think we might expect this kind of. I think we've seen TNL experiment with different kinds of scouting and getting information. One of our criticism of them was waiting or spending too much maybe to get, and too much time and resources to get information and not acting on it. But here, I mean, them being patient definitely paid off. Look at this easy B plant now if they want it.
Super easy.
I wonder why it isn't. It seems like part of the game plan here, Joe. Like Nuturn being aggressive and pressuring TNL.
Yeah, it definitely reflects back to the pistol, like really setting the tempo in their favor. It comes off very, very fast. It's definitely a point of the map that is very contested and you want to control, but again, not something this team normally does by any stretch of the imagination. They have their moments where they can make really fast, T-side plays where they blitz onto a site to make a very direct, just rush call, and that'll happen. But their CT side's very, very passive normally, counter-terrorist. So defense.
I don't know defense, right?
Yeah, defense, not heroes. They're agents. It's not a bomb.
It's a spike.
We're not killing people here.
We're merely causing gravity field influences. But yeah, we kind of checked out there at the end of that just they closed it out. The last player alive, I think, was Perry, was just looking for exit frags. So I think when this obviously starts to get interesting, right, as a caster, and just thinking about the game flow, right? And I'll just pause it a little bit. Do you think like maybe I'll just say this kind of quickly, like it's been very clear so far that Nuturn's game plan is to try to pressure TNL. Do you kind of have any impressions based on that, like whether it is a good or bad call, or is it just more of a, all right, that's clearly the strategy, let's just see how it turns out? You just identify it and then let it simmer and see what happens?
I don't think Nuturn expected them to be as passive as they were. That definitely seemed to catch them off guard. Like, again, breach jet combo coming up through a long, you'd expect there to be flashes and an investment there. But I don't think they wanted to show as much of their hand as they did that early. But as it's being face checked and people are getting picked off, the plan kind of crumbles. So I do kind of side on the former, where it is just like, okay, this is how they approach these first couple rounds. Let's see how the half progresses. Let's see how they go into the half, exactly how or at what point do we feel that downshift in tempo where they're like, okay, the aggression's not necessarily working. Do we see a downshift? A lot of teams necessarily, I won't name any names, but I look at some of these NA teams and there's no shifting at all. It's just go, or it's just, first gear. I'd expect Nuturn, again, if the aggression doesn't necessarily keep up, I expect them to shift, to be very passive, hold, these important angles. You look at Sova here for Nuturn, he wants that control. He wants to be able to have that vision going into A lobby to see exactly where this team is rotating, where the utility is being used, and kind of relaying that information back to the team to not only call that the resources are gone, like, okay, if a boom bot is sent, you know, again, hypothetically, if a boom bot set down, you know, long A, that's a big resource that's just off the table that you don't necessarily have to worry about. That also tells Nuturn that Raze is leaning A site. And if Raze is normally their entry fragger, then that could mean that, you know, there's a higher probability that the A site's being hit. Stuff like that's definitely just little W's that you can take going into a match that people might not necessarily pick up on. I'm not saying that this is exactly what TNL is doing, but these are the things that you kind of want to pay attention to. But to kind of loop back, I'd expect, I wouldn't expect more aggression, but I don't hate it. I'll put it like that.
I feel exactly the same way. I hope to see Nuturn stick to this game plan and try some
give it a couple rounds to breathe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But this is this looks like it should be a save here coming in from Nuturn. Interesting that Perry had the gun from the save, right? So this should be a save here. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Again, leaning A. This is off round start and Jet just.
Are you talking about a defensive leaning A? Or?
Yeah, Nuturn leaning A heavily here.
Right.
Off of the first, I think round 3, and then now in the 4th. I think they want just the Jet smoke initially, and then she might rotate. But
yep, there's a kill on C site. This is fitting into what TNL feels like they want to do, though. Like with again, we're also not reading too much into this. This is a save round. Interesting. Oh, okay. So this is
big
nice
wrap.
Yeah. All of a sudden, very wantable. This does feel like a kind of round that could go Nuturn's way and then they run away with the half. You know?
Yeah.
If Nuturn locks down this defense here.
Here's a really subtle thing. I think that it's not necessarily important to know, but look at Jet and Raze's path. They're respecting the B site. They don't know that if anybody's there, it's not been checked. So they actually feel like they have to rotate through defender spawn and not directly through B site. If there is somebody there, they'd have to kind of play off the contact, and it's, again, you're playing into a save round.
Nuturn's pathing on the defense, right there.
Yep, Nuturn's pathing on the defense. Raze and Jet specifically from that C site, as you know, the round feels more and more like, you know, TNL is going to be attacking a different site. They respect that there could be somebody on B site itself, so they have to path all the way around. And once it's cleared that nobody is there, they come back around. It's a intentional thing that it's just very safe, very like nice and refined,
for sure,
taking no risks.
And that's what we expect Nuturn to do. Good.
Yes,
put the odds in their favor. This is a save, by the way, here for TNL on the attack. So a very quick rush.
Yeah, there's a reason why in Korea people have to respect these save rounds, because these cracked little kids are going to come out with those sheriffs and really take off your head.
They really will.
And they will play at this pace. So you have to just sit back, respect as much as you might not think you should. You have to respect those sheriffs with how lethal they can be in the right hands. And
absolutely,
TNL, I look at Allow, I look at Exy, I look at Ritzy, I look at TS. Those 3 players can do a lot with a sheriff. That's no discredit to Nuturn. People like Allow, people like Lakia, Solo, Suggest. They're good, but they've matched. They have equals on the other side of the field that can take their heads off with sheriff. So you have to be patient on those save rounds,
for sure. I don't know. I'm feeling spicy. I'm feeling ready for a prediction already.
Okay. What do you want to predict?
I want to predict. Let's just do this. Let's do the good old. So we have a couple interesting things here. We have Allow has an operator. Allow is outside of garage, no support on the garage side. And then this is a I would say a must win for TNL because they are broke after this buy. So I think let's see here. Well, we can predict around the round win, or we can predict around the operator. What
do you think he peaks? I think he shoves it.
I think he shoves it here. I think Allow's
I
feeling
would tend
himself.
to agree.
So I'm gonna I want to guess that Allow is actually gonna get picked off here. I think Allow does not get a kill.
Interesting.
Would you wager the other way?
I think this raise is coming in hot. I think
this one here.
I'm gonna guess that XE probably throws the nade garage doors. Allow sits the initial burst, gets the pick, tail wins out before the scatters can come in and clean them up.
All right.
I'm guessing that's the round. So we'll predict the duel. Who wins the duel? XE or Allow, or does it not even happen?
Start prediction. Who wins the duel? So
I can vote now.
Yeah, you can vote now because you're not a mod anymore. Okay, who wins the duel? This is Allow defense.
Yep.
/ Nuturn. Or who is this? XE?
Yeah. I also think, as you're writing that up, it is important to note that Nuturn has stopped leaning A, and now they're kind of leaning towards C site. So I'm interested to see if Suggest, under the guise of some Omen smokes, makes a cubby play, pushes up C long again, kind of going back to those previous, I think, not only the pistol, but round 3, round 4, again, being aggressive, but just on other sides of the map. Something to keep track of.
A lot to do. A lot to keep track of. I need to write it down. Okay. All right. 1 minute. 1 minute. Get your predictions in. Dun, 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 dun. All right. I think Allow. Wait, I said XC. Wait, I said Allow. What did you say again?
I said Allow is going to sit the initial
and he's going to win.
Scatter nade.
Okay. And I said XC. Right. I did say XC. Okay. I'm going to bet. I'm betting 1K on this. I feel really good about it. Everyone getting predictions in? The timer is at 30 seconds. They won't fight, you think? Come on, Scribe.
Possibly. Cray is very, very peaky. Very cheeky with where they play their ops.
Yeah, we have some jump peekers. We've seen at least one jump peek. 100% confirmed. And it did
Buzz
work.
is a jump peeker. And then on the other hand, you have Lawrence, who likes to try to jump peek. We'll leave it there.
Yep. Okay, so if they don't fight, I think we'll just go with
we'll just call it a wash.
Or we can call it a wash. Yeah, we can invalidate it. We certainly can, which is, I think, maybe the most fair because we were asking very specifically about this. Predictions are closed. Let's go. Ooh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see XE destroy him.
Oh. And it's a wash.
It's a wash. Or is it?
No aggression. Okay. Suggest being a little rotatey.
All right.
Is there a smoke used, maybe? A site? Solo, big aggressive. Big. I think last round had a big rotation.
Wow.
Kind of cutting the map, wrapping them, getting a lot done.
Boy. Oh, it was sniffed out.
It was a little late, but better late than never.
All right, our prediction's a wash. We'll give everyone the channel points back, unless I was the only one that voted for mine, and then I'll award it. Interesting.
I'd expect.
I mean, that's very measured.
To play offset. Oh.
Sova with Hunter's Fury. Can he get off site though?
That's the issue.
I don't think they've seen the op yet.
I think they suspect somebody's heaven. They just don't know it's the op.
Yeah.
But they have a smoke.
There's the smoke. There's a counter smoke. All right. He blinds hell. He dies.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm kind of... I like the gumption out of Allowed to try and clutch the 2v1 with the op, but
yeah,
I think it's probably best to try and save that.
Right.
I think you'd like that in this round.
So we're going to go and delete this and return the points. Couple questions in chat. Let me pause real quick while we look at these real quick. Because I don't want to say anything. Okay. The program were used on the map on the left of Market. left of the market. Well, okay, so what I'm doing is I'm cropping the same view. This is a YouTube video, and I'm just exploding up the mini map, and then I'm drawing on it with Epic Pen. How do you know the custom overlay scoreboard? Yeah, so this is Riot. Riot provided it to them, and okay, I did tweet back and forth with good old Opal Casts. I didn't know he's working at Riot, by the way. Did you know that?
Oh,
he's working on Riot in the Southeast Asia region. But he mentioned how they are using the UI for some of their challengers broadcasts. So that gives me some hope that we will see it back at least in challengers, and hopefully some version of this makes it to live. So we're big looking for that. Send your energies. I'm sure Riot will release something to this effect, something that's like this sooner than later. But anyways, TNL takes it.
That they do.
I'm waiting for when Nuturn feels like they're done experimenting with that game plan and then goes back to their Nuturn magic. Yeah. So I really want to try to think about, like, okay, what are we seeing that's different? Like, if Nuturn is able to turn this around, like, what are they going to be doing differently?
I think the big kind of key there for like the downshift in terms of pace, I think, is probably going to be Solo. This is multiple times where he's made these big wrap plays, big flanking energy from somebody who you'd want to kind of support your team as, you know, the takes happening. So I kind of like to see him kind of in a position where he is now. This might be the round where they start to downshift and shift tempo away from being, you know, as aggressive with their map control. Not that I hated it. I think that it just isn't necessarily working in their favor. I don't think Solo's necessarily on enough to be able to, you know, win those duels. But see.
I like that. Oh my god, I can't remember the name. I was gonna say Fisher Strike.
Fault line.
Fault line. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The fault line there with the there. I don't know if people didn't see. There's a fault line thrown from Mr. Solo himself onto where the Alodrone was. Ooh. All right.
Play take, and he's committed to flanking.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. I think you want these flashes, you want these fault lines. Just the denial that Breach gives you. I think you want that on site. I'd like to see Allow be the one. I want to see the duelist make the flanks, not necessarily a big tool when it comes to supporting the team. It's like having it's something that Vision Strikers does a lot with their Omen. Tends to, if they do commit to, you know, wrapping the map or committing to a lurk, it is usually their Omen, which again, not ideal, at least in my mind. But yeah, I'd like to see Solo commit to playing towards the site. And if they are going to at least have somebody lurk and try to wrap the map, I want to see that be the Jet. I want to see it Allow kind of step into that role.
Yeah, and because typically what we would see, and the maps have gone away, of course, when I want to draw this, but typically we'd see a Breach either playing the A link from B or a short, so that they can have their utility very quickly rotatable to wherever they need to go to slow down the push. So that's definitely something we're looking for in terms of the map movement. We got
another thing to kind of note on with TNL specifically is they've been slow to actually commit to a site, but when they do, they actually group up quite heavily. So I'm looking at the Sova for the Owl drone to try and get this earlier map vision so they can maybe try to catch people out.
They look way better than what we saw last week. That's like, that's for sure. They look a completely different team. TNL does.
Yeah, the 100%. This is a team that, you know, minor history lesson. This is a team that TNL Esports placed second in First Strike Korea to Vision Strikers, who, if you haven't heard, they're like 60-0. They haven't lost a best of 3 set. They've drawn a couple maps and a best of 2s, but they have yet to actually lose a full-on set themselves. And the only team to really kind of challenge them recently has been Nuturn. However, TNL getting second at First Strike South Korea since then has been on kind of a downswing. Most recently playing against Apex people in, you know, a rematch, kind of best of 2 of best of 3s, I guess. They lost to them actually in challengers, but still qualified for masters, and then had the head-to-head rematch in Group A and actually beat them quite convincingly. So this has been a bit of a rocky roller coaster for TNL, but really kind of stepping into their own right now. I don't know how much I want to credit them, or I want to look at Nuturn and their this aggressive kind of tempo.
They're at the least
change.
They're taking the opportunities though, right? Which 100%. Is something that when I say TNL looks like a different team, what is the difference? Well, they're pulling the trigger, they're executing, they're getting on the site and supporting each other. Before it was a lot of TS jumping on the site and then just putting too much distance away from the rest of the team,
or just not using the distance they get.
Yeah,
they're often making distance. I look at that. I remember that Apex VOD.
Right, yeah, creating fog of war,
just
not
doing anything with it. Yeah.
So this was a defensive. I believe it was a defensive. Oh no, it was offensive.
Offensive Rolling Thunder.
Rolling Thunder, yeah. And
can we back that one up?
Yeah, yeah.
I want to see that entry again.
Do we want to
take it from the top?
From the top.
That's a good ass Valorant round. Get your minds out of the gutter, chat.
We're talking about esports here.
That's right.
Only esports.
Only esports. So they're still not in position to actually get the owl drone usage. I wonder if it was actually used at all, or if it was just I don't think they did.
Sova looking for a lineup here?
I think he's just trying to get in heaven. Like gets this, gets the omen on the TP.
So
is he home? Oh, he's just sniffing. He assumes that Solo's gonna actually be out there, like going for that wrap again. But it was so quick that you can't afford to actually commit that such a big wrap. It was just.
I'd love at least an arrow on a site.
Did he not?
Let's see. This one's worth. Okay, so he leads with Alodrone. I do like that. It gets him into long. They're kind of clomping already though. Clomping their feet.
Oh yeah, they're for sure clomping.
They're big going.
Like they have committed just through body language. Big dash, big pick.
I think that arrow. Yes. Okay. That was Echo's arrow. Okay. When they have utility be the color of the team, I'll be so happy.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. You have to like guess whose arrows what lockdowns whose, and it's just annoying. I think in general it was. I'd like to see the Sova be a little bit more. It feels kind of greedy to just commit to denying and covering the flank and not being able to, whether it be shock dart, heaven to kind of help clear that angle or dissuade people from peeking into it as you're coming in. Obviously the omen's teleporting there. It's more hypothetical on how many different ways you can actually support the entry without necessarily committing your body, right? Seeing this more and more where teams are trying to cut corners by leaving somebody just deny the site and lacking or losing a little bit of the resources to be able to actually help the entry.
The steal move.
Yeah, wasn't gonna name names, but yes, playing the off-site a little bit too far, I'll say.
Yeah, that style has certainly not worked out for 100 Thieves yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they get through lower bracket. All right, we got more tech issues maybe.
I'm seeing some waving. I can only assume that that's a big old pause.
Yeah.
Another thing that Nuturn with this kind of with Solo being a little bit more aggressive, what they're lacking. Korea is very big on the breach jet duo.
Yep.
And if you have your breach flanking off the map, playing these lurks, you can't support your jet in that way. It's not to say that Allow needs that support, but to better activate him and better facilitate him to be able to kind of run around to be that fragger. Kind of need those breach smokes. You need those breach flashes and stuns, all these things that you tend to want to support this kind of carry threat on your team. You need to be able to support that, and you can't if you're flanking, right? Like it is kind of a nombo in that way where you're kind of working against yourself. And we've seen obviously a meta shift away from that with Damwon and Vision Strikers kind of moving away from the breach and the jet and coming in with Sky and Raze, the new dominant duo, not necessarily being such a rigid duo, but bringing a little bit more flexibility in terms of utility and all different kinds of things. Jet kind of falling out of flavor, at least on bind. I won't say globally because I definitely don't watch enough global Valorant, but in Korea, definitely falling down a little bit.
In terms of like how the most creative teams are.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can get too creative. You can go APE Prince on them.
Yeah,
but
don't get me started.
Save that for another day.
Don't get me started on no duelist into icebox your map pick.
Yeah,
Viper. Always
creative.
Walling
mid.
One way to
put it.
that'll be pause and predict after dark when we drink every time.
Drink every time JoJo loses a flank duel with Viper.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting setup. They have a standard setup, but again, Solo's playing super aggressively. He's still holding the same kind of sight line that a Breach would normally play if they were playing the A connector,
right?
Towards B site. It's just pushed up a lot farther.
Yep.
He's kind of created his own space in that way, and still can kind of support the Jet as long as they're communicating well. And I'd expect Nuturn to be able to do that.
Yeah, but it still is so interesting that he's kind of anchoring this site when you would expect him to be playing where the Sova is. Mm-hmm. Right now, agreed. All he can do is fault line, which he just used, I believe. He can't support.
So they hear the flash, they hear the smoke. They have to assume it's B.
Yeah,
I like the wrap. Again, I'd like Solo to be more on site here.
He'll use that probably catches in the back. Yeah, just very fortunate on that rotation. But all of a sudden,
I like the rotation. I just would prefer a different agent.
Yeah, exactly. That feels like it's definitely sticking out the most right now.
Yeah.
Solo's dead too. Yeah, I mean, it's like the Breach is not in a position to use utility to stop pushes, and then the Sova's not in a position to get a read that they need. Right? Like you could easily replace Sova to where Breach is and use your Owl Drone to do the exact scouting that Solo is using his body to do. Pause and predict. Yep. What up, Avril? How's it going?
Hello. Hope as well.
Just watching some Valorant.
I do wonder if it's just a little too rigid with the Breach Jet duo and they don't want to kind of separate the two.
Yeah.
Because even though he is playing that A short angle, which again kind of follows that same lane that he would be playing if he was playing A connector, you still have that Jet that you can support. If you see a commitment towards a lobby and you see there's multiple people, you can get those flashes and you get those fault lines and you can just wide peek it and swing in there along with your Jet. If you put Sova there, less of a possibility. Maybe again, taking the Breach Jet, moving them C site and then playing Sova on A connector, that might be a little bit more interesting. Definitely some viability when it comes to taking an Odin or maybe an Ares and banging that wall that goes into A short could be interesting with recon dart, or maybe just a quick shoulder check when it comes, or with, I guess Jet wouldn't be there, but yeah, it's interesting exactly how they're playing the map. It still is very different, and I think Solo's definitely the catalyst to this shift in style.
Yeah,
not very Nuturn, not very passive and controlling. It is very like, it's not to say that they don't respect them, but it feels like they're just punching up, trying to dominate that space control, and it's working.
Sort of completely giving up A long.
Yeah.
This feels like a very odd style. Okay. You mean TNL does on the attack?
TNL typically smokes the A long sight line from A rotation.
Lobby. Got it.
Yes. Playing passive with the support
This
character.
Is where we want to see the Breach.
Hopefully this is the downshift.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is okay. We're going to be a little bit more passive. We're going to take direct rotations on the post plant setup. Like,
right.
We don't necessarily need to feel like you need to wrap the map as much as that's can be successful and is very strategically sound. You don't want your support to do that. At least my philosophy. TNL feels like TNL right now.
Droning out here.
Boom.
They should know.
Ton of vision.
Ooh, wow.
Big vision.
Very fortunate to get those kills, honestly, because the whole team was there. For
if TNL. You're gonna flank, do it now. Breach Jet. Yep. Go. Yes, run together. I like this. This is fine.
It's so rough without a Sentinel too, though. They have no way of slowing this down. The best they have is a flash, right? and they're just leaving him out to dry. Perry is just out to dry on this site by himself.
Bought as much time as you could.
Yep. It just feels like they're having to really work for these. Really, really work for these.
A lot of duels that you just are forced to win. I think the timing when it comes to the Aldron was great. I like the swing off of it. There was a lot that was good there. I like the cubby control immediately from Allow. I think that if they're going to flank from A site and play the lurk, it has to be both of them. It can't just be breach. He needs to be able to support something. He has to flash somebody in, and he can do that from a distance. So him playing garage, him going, you know, a separate but close enough angle to support the jet, I think that's the play moving forward. But still, again, just full speed ahead when it comes to Nuturn, which is, again, uncharacteristic.
Yep. This is a save. Oh, wait, hold on. No. They have they full bot on for TNL on attack here. Yeah, there you go. There's a sniff. The anti-lurk here. That was a good adjustment. I mean, they had to adjust there.
Done, but yeah. If they feel like they need to be able to wrap the map and threaten as many angles as possible, I'd like to see it be Allow. But as I'm talking more through it, I think both Solo and Allow need to be able to play off each other, play that duo. I'm glad that Solo's able to support this, but
wow.
Does he have these?
Nope.
Can't face check that.
You feel the momentum starting to turn a bit, right?
A little bit.
Nuturn is playing in a way where they don't have to work as hard.
Agreed.
But
keeping them honest, you know, making sure that somebody's sniffing those flanks, you know, no rogue poops running around. Got to make sure you sniff them out.
Have you heard this, by the way? We want to call anti-flank sniffing.
Sniffing. Gotta sniff out the lurkers.
Oh yeah, anti-lurk.
Smell them. Smell their stink.
You gotta.
There's some unhonest Valorant afoot. I can smell them from the sides. Again, right, so this is a force.
Smoke. This is a force from TNL. I just want to update regarding guns. Full buy from Nuturn.
Going immediately to heaven is the Sova. Now we do see the breach and the jet separate. Something to note.
But I like this. I mean, this is a good adjustment, right? Or this, I should just say, it is an adjustment that feels logical.
Yep.
In that, what do you mean by that? Well, the breach here being able to have, like, having utility on this C site felt like it was a reason why they lost site control a lot. So whereas before they were like, okay, we're fine with losing C, just do what you can, Perry, and, you know, fight them off on the site. Now it's more of, okay, let's have the breach on site, have them work with a duelist to try to make sure we get some frags on them.
And to be fair, they haven't been leaning A site, TNL that is. They haven't been like really looking at trying to push a long or a short. Like that's where Solo's been playing, and he's just only been rotating. So shifting that support more towards that C site, like you're saying, definitely feels more beneficial. However,
did you see
TNL having the star sense?
There's a TP here by Perry. Basically, he went into C lobby or down C long and saw nobody. So
okay,
it's a good ulti
for sure.
IMO.
Yeah. Probably one of the only other decent ways of actually getting value out of from the shadows.
Yep. All right.
Chooses nobody to wrap. Perry is in a position to be able to do something. Chooses not to, so they're just committing to A link. This could get dicey.
They have paranoia, so there goes paranoia. They clear hell.
They clear hell, and that right 90 rocket misses.
And they bait out the utility, and then they just come out and outshoot them.
It's a choice. It's definitely you got to work for it, and it checks out, right? Like it landed.
Yep.
But I think Perry maybe, you know, pressing up through mid, threatening, you know, the lurk, being able to. I think they've threatened the lurk enough that the TNL Sova has to be able to, you know, is dedicated to kind of covering that, which is good.
Yep.
It kind of just through conditioning alone has separated resources away, which is great. But when it comes to the half evaluation, we're looking at what 5-7, I think, if I'm mathing correctly.
Yep.
Not just the score that I'd expect. I'd expect Nuturn to be up maybe 8-4, maybe even 9-3. Like this is closer than you'd expect if you were to look at the history of these teams, especially within their last 5 matches. TNL has been hurting in a bad way. So let's see if the aggression continues for Nuturn on attack.
No frenzy buys, just ghosts and classics, by the way.
Ghost classics. How many armors? Did you catch that?
I see 2 armors on TNL on the defense, 2 armors. Yeah, so basically whoever didn't buy the ghost have armor.
Yeah, it was something I noticed last night in the APE Prince game. A lot of no armor buys, a lot of frenzies, a lot of ghosts, especially on the pistol.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see no frenzies
Very
here.
Interesting.
Oh wow. Well, there's that armor.
What is this?
Armor would have been nice.
This is so wonky.
It's strange, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Double kill.
But like
with a shock dart. What even happened?
That was a little too fancy for my taste.
Oh my god.
But again, it's pistol.
See what the hell happened here? Just real quick.
They just sit garage and they're like playing off the idea that they won't stick this.
What made TNL all? Oh, okay, because they're just all in the bomb.
Yeah. Yeah, this
at the
is
lineup, I guess.
A little goofy.
Yeah. I felt like what TNL wants to be able to do.
Be gifted rounds, I suppose.
Well, get on there, plant the bomb, get out, get fancy.
True. I mean,
have
to
lineups.
Be fair, Nuturn just they got on there, they got the bomb plant, and then just vacated, just skadoodled out of there. It was.
They did the same trick to them.
Yeah, that was bizarre. But forcing here looks like
we have. All right, we see a couple stingers. Yeah, this is a force from TNL. Wait, no, TNL won that last one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Smoking heaven. You've got to assume the commitment's happening. Paranoia as well.
XC with the game sense. Wow.
Lakia, big sniffer. Oh, comedy of errors. Gets it done. Shout out to anybody in chat who actually watches KR Valorant. Lakia, probably the best Sova in the region. This kid has lineups for days.
This is a rough spot.
Do you do? Yes.
It's waiting out utility.
Okay.
Ooh.
I don't know if that hit anything. It's close, but
no, it did not. Or it might have clipped him.
Yeah, a little bit of clippage.
Yeah, double swing.
Can't do much there.
Yeah, no, it was just a good XE, and I forget who else is on site too. They held their own. Yeah.
What differently could have been done? Obviously, you want to save as much utility without being greedy. Especially with what round it was, I maybe would have liked to see Aldrone shift into a short checking instead of a long. I think you could probably get away with just body checking that.
Sure.
I don't expect a Phantom to be able to dink you that far away. Whereas playing into a short kind of plays into those shotguns and all that stuff. Again, Lakia, show me the magic, son. Where is this going?
What is this lineup?
I don't know, but
this
I want to see more of it.
From Nuturn.
Yep. Because I forced off the loss of the pistol. Oh, big
sniff. Ooh, it is not successful. And
Lakia
misses the shots. All right.
Not great.
All right, big gun round here.
That pistol blunder is really kind of biting him. And then forcing off of it.
It just feels like they don't need to do. There are a couple of rounds where they're really forcing things when they didn't have to.
You don't need to.
But it was a decision, and it seems to be just a consistent thing that Nuturn are deciding to do.
It's definitely the theme of this match where they seem to be like, this is the game plan, we're sticking to it. Like a little too rigid in that way, where they're committing agents to flanking regardless of what their role is within the team. They're committing to these set plays that just are not landing. Again, aggressing on CT, which is like just uncharacteristic for such a passive team. It doesn't feel like Nuturn.
Absolutely.
I feel like they're in their own heads. Yeah.
A big flank from XC.
You know.
All right, now the map's kind of in a rough spot, right? You lose your B anchor.
Yep.
He's about to die. Godlike will. Ooh. Okay, at least gets a trade.
I love these B splits. Yes, you have to win a lot of duels, but just threatening that position forces so much time to be bought.
Right. You're at least keeping the fights even, right? Because you're probably drawing, you're making noise near B. You're drawing attention from your C and B holders, and maybe even pulling resources from A, so you can get the plant down.
Yep, you're obfuscating exactly which way you're leaning in terms of the sites, and if you actually do win B, it makes that rotation so much slower. And like you're saying, if you can actually get resource out of that for them to try and like recapture B, that's a win if you're planting A. In that way, we've seen teams like Nuturn, like Vision Strikers, make a big B stink where they're coming in, they're throwing resources out, they're capturing B, and then they switch it up and go C, or if they fake. Once they control the center of the board, a la chess, they have all the map in the world to be able to kind of rotate and float.
Yeah.
I know you wanted to point something out, I think.
Nope. Not really.
Okay.
Just aggressive agreement.
Fair enough.
Actually, I was only going to point out that the Sova, TNL Sova had an op.
Oh.
He was holding yeah, I only caught that at the end. I didn't see what position he was holding, but op is still saved. It's on to TS now, whose name is obscured. Operator all the way down C long.
This is something I will say about TNL is I think they're playing double duelist right. I think this is exactly how I'd want to play double duelist. It feels like that's the thing. It feels like Nuturn is playing double duelist and they're not. Solo feels like he should be on a duelist right now, but he's playing a support. The fact that you have the raise to be able to kind of punch up, and I guess, you know, Nuturn is playing double duelist, but they're playing raise in a more supportive fashion.
Yeah, which is super interesting. I'm not super familiar with what the suggest normally does. Yeah, that was an absolutely supportive position there, and just couldn't do anything for that duel. All right, one left.
Gets it done.
Wow, interesting.
Can we start that round from the top? I want to see that one more time.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see exactly what I think it's Ritzy on TNL for the raise gets actually done with this flank. Doesn't seem like a whole lot.
From that top. So they push aggro, or TNL pushed aggro, double duelist down here.
Big info gathered, even though there's nobody here. They know that nobody's leaning C. So the likelihood that anybody's on the map that is near C site is very minimal.
Yep, and they just have to give
Smokes come into B.
They
cuts the cross.
Yep.
Yep. It's pretty much, you know, now that the bomb's planted, but once those smokes come in, it's a B hit for sure.
So that was big from Echo there. Eco. All of a sudden they have this huge flank. TNL does on the defense. They lose even more.
So if you pause here, this should be in a position that TNL like feels fantastic.
Right.
You have circumvented the entire map. You've lost. Nuturn has lost the power position of, you know, having mid window to be able to deny the defuse coming in.
Right.
And they've basically walked themselves in a circle. Right.
Yep.
Like once you get the B site plant, you should be able to kind of come back, hold courtyard, and be very, very passive. Not passive, but be confident in holding that space.
Right.
They've somehow wrapped themselves back around and if you follow me strategically, like once you plant the spike, decides the roles of the round have swapped, right? Like the attackers are now the defenders and defenders are the attackers, right? They've somehow reswapped it and now are defending again against the attacking force of TNL. They've got the entire map control. I don't know how this falls apart. If you pause this position and you ask me to predict who wins this round, I'd say TNL wins this round.
Right. Especially since, I mean, if we were looking even at the utility that this retaking team has, right? You have this double blast pack, you have the ultimate, all the utility in the world for Sova there. No paranoia, but you know, you still got flashes and the C from I forget what that's called. But yeah, let's see what happens. I'm actually gonna we'll just play it in real time. Wow. Okay, so interesting. Rizzy goes directly for the he does not clear sight. He goes directly for the defuse. He does not clear that. Did you see that? I think that actually is probably what loses them. This. As they enter sight, just watch what their Omen's doing. What Rizzy's doing, TNL's Omen. Or wait, no, that's their breach rather.
Breach,
so Godlike
breach
goes directly, he goes directly for the defuse, and they did not clear this.
Wow.
Oh my god, wait, that was a kill with the wall blast. The C from Breach.
Oh, the aftershock.
The aftershock, yeah. Holy moly.
Huh. They try to get the half and just play off that, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, the timing might have been really rough. Like, so Perry played that pretty well, right? He was playing this C link. They'll probably even show it in the replay because that was actually really key.
It sounds like, I mean, not that push through smoke in particular, but I think it was, or it probably wouldn't have been Perry, but somebody pressed through smoke, and I think counterintuitively pressing through that, trying to deny the half is probably one of the reasons why they won that round. TNL being way too aggressive. I don't see the urgency on why they needed to get in there. I can't
get
hear the bomb ticks, but it was,
they had enough time for sure.
Yeah. Very bizarre. This is Nuturn every day of the week on attack. This is very much Nuturn. Let's see what we get. See what kind of resources they throw at us. Be done with it. I'm gonna guess this kind of looks like a B fake, but they're not really selling it all that well.
I want to see what utility they use. They just dry peek it. So people start to rotate here. Silva's backside. Drone comes up. Like you said, this could always be the wraparound. Dude, look how many people are devoted to the.
Yeah, they're not committed to this in the slightest.
Yep.
Okay, now they are. Oh, Flocky is gonna pop that.
Yep. Watch out behind you. Did that call not come out? But meanwhile, on the site, excuse me.
I don't know why they committed Hunter Tree. This is clutchable. He plants it for Cubby and plays it. Oh, is he gonna solo window and just crouch underneath it?
I like this better than the long play.
Yeah, no utility.
Yeah,
not much you can do to deny.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not expected.
Yeah, exactly. The goal is that you're just gonna catch him out of rotation. He's like, all right, he's definitely long. Now he's got to get on the site and make it 2 1v1s, and he's got to do it fast enough. What's a great spot actually?
Does he sniff it?
Oh,
nice try. Good attempt.
Yeah. Gino did everything right there though. Smoking the bomb, big play.
Yeah.
People always oh, smoke off the, like, say if you're playing long there, if you're the defense, sorry, if you're trying to defuse the bomb and you smoke off like the entire lane, then it's bad for you. You want to smoke the bomb and sit in it because otherwise,
skate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they're gonna know where the bomb is, right? But as opposed to you're spraying,
It forces them to answer your defuse. Once you have that defuse triggered, they have to be able to spray into that, and it obfuscates you enough to be able to.
You might be able to just hold it.
Help you that extra 20% of the time where they miss, and you know exactly where they're coming from.
Right.
However, Nuturn, this is not a great showing of their kind of skill. I think Lockie is definitely not playing up to his caliber that we've seen him play before. I don't like a lot of the play with the Hunter's Fury kind of just open them up to TS being able to really abuse that flank. Once you commit your dedicated sniffer, if you will, to locking himself down into, you know, a fixed position, those unfortunate circumstances can really open up.
Does Nuturn typically play double duelists? Because it feels like they're not quite comfortable with this. You know, they're not using it in a way that I would expect them to. Like you said, Solo is playing in a position where you'd expect them to be duelist, but doesn't have the duelist utility, is playing flanking, whereas Suggest is doing this supporty positioning. So
in their match in Group A against Vision Strikers, they did play double duelist on Haven. Yeah, it seems pretty typical for them to be a raised jet.
Okay.
On Haven, at least. Very, very passive from Suggest. Definitely noticing that now that we've kind of settled into Nuturn. Not as duelisty as you'd expect. Not that I hate it, but I'd like to see that shift in terms of tempo, where it's not necessarily Solo being able to play these aggressive flanks. I'd like to see Suggest kind of step out and do that himself.
So one of the keys that help make this all right.
Oh, we cooking.
There was a really key kill here on mid. They had a
take it from the top.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Let me see this key kill.
So they start off with, like you said, this is the one where you said this is very key. This is a very normal Nuturn. That might have been last round.
Yeah, I think it was last round, but still, again, Lakia being you know, very passive and letting the pushers come into him, getting that pick mid. Great opening.
All right, so Solo hangs out here.
Playing Solo.
Yep. Playing the lurk. I don't know what they gave it info-wise, why C is given up here, actually. I think this because they smoked off B.
Yeah, they think it's like a B control A hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he has no idea.
And they conditioned them to that because they ran that so many times.
Yep. I mean, Omen had no intention on checking that. I think he was, you know, mental buffering that they're all a lobby. Lockie is maybe sitting there, you know, holding that angle. This is what I have to prepare for. He was not ready for that 90 right there.
Yeah.
Not in the slightest.
And this is lockdown right here, unless an absolute
full setup
tragedy happens on the site.
Yep. And allow, you know.
Oh, I like that. The dash over. I didn't notice that last time. The aftershock. Yeah, and then allow just
cute little play.
Yep. All right. I feel we got to get in one more predict before we get to the end here. I like a predict per half. I know it's maybe a little more sparse than
one per.
Yeah, one per half feels good. We just have to find some fun predictions to do. All right, let's check out the monies. We got full buys on both sides. TNL's godlike, can't buy. Yeah, okay. So TNL, we're gonna see if they have the force here. But full buy on the side of Nuturn on the attack. All right, so we got a mixed buy here from TNL.
Okay, here's one for you.
Yep.
I think this is a B fake.
Okay.
I think they're gonna feint B and take it, obviously, either C or A. But the way that I see this round going, just off of the opening positions, I see maybe a boom bot being thrown in. I see both Omen smokes kind of smoking
about for Nuturn,
cross.
right?
Yes,
these
on
things.
The attack. Feinting B, obfuscating the vision as best they can, then backing up, having those answer, you know, resources come out and shifting position.
Okay.
What TNL has to do in response to that, they have to push it after, either through the smokes or after the smokes, to be able to make sure that there isn't anybody, you know, defending B, that there isn't anybody kind of anchoring the site to deny rotations, and then answer. I'd like to see the C hit just for the simple fact that it is so, if you can actually sell the feint well enough, it is very dominant if you can get that full lane setup where you start from, you know, T or attacker side C down C long, holding the site itself like they did the round previous.
Yeah.
If they can get that set up off of a B feint, I think it's that is very Nuturn, very Korean Valorant-esque, controlling the map, forcing resources out, forcing just time to be burnt, checking B, making sure that's, you know, being faked properly.
Yeah.
And then having to deal with the C site hit, having to wrap around the map, dealing with Cubby, all that jazz.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree with you here, but I think for the sake of trying to think of another prediction, let's hone in on what your what your call is here. So you're saying B fake into C push, or you're just saying that you could fake it either way?
I'll commit to the B C fake.
Okay.
Fake B, go C.
All right. Then I will say, you know what's interesting about this play is that if it goes well, like if they get picks on B, then they might just, why not just take it B? But this does look like a C. Okay, I'm gonna say, I'll take the others. I'll just take the other. I think that's a good way to do it.
Okay, you play the field. That's fine.
Yeah, play the field. So
literally anything else.
Yeah. Let's do this here. Actually, let's okay, let's do it. So do they go? Do they fake B and go C? They go C, or they go B or A? This is kind of rough.
Literally anything else.
It's kind of rough. It's not for the faint of heart, but it does. This is very, I'll say this, it's a very strong, they're showing a lot of signs for C.
Definitely leaning towards B to C just on you know, body language, but that doesn't mean anything. But from the rounds previous and from what I've seen Nuturn in the past, that's what I'd like to see from them.
All right, let's do it. Get your predictions in. Bam, 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 bam. Prediction time. All right, I'm saying they go B or A. I'll throw down some Skrilla for this.
Channel point Skrilla.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If Nuturn does win this and they win the series and go on, I'm a little skeptical if they continue on this pace. I'm a little scared for a team that has looked as promising as they have, not in the best form. If this continues against a team like TNL, who, I mean, they're not slouches by any means, but it's a little bit more straightforward with TNL. It is very much off the backs of like 3-star players and not a ton of just fancy footwork. And that's what you'd expect from Nuturn. You'd expect a lot of, you know, well thought out cross smokes, you know, just a lot of set plays. And I'm not seeing that, especially on defense. Weird aggressive habits, solo playing solo, right? It's not a good look.
That's why I wonder how much of it is an experiment.
Hopefully. Hopefully this is, you know, the first pitch of the cycle, you know, see how the pitcher's feeling, you know, where he's throwing the ball. If that's the case, great, fine. Come into semis. If they do win, go back to that passivity. Go back into that very methodical style. You go back and you watch their head-to-head versus Vision Strikers. It is probably the most like boring Valorant, but like very thought out. Like it's very slow and methodical for two teams probably that play the slowest pace in the region. So
yeah, I'm just surprised if they bring out this play style versus any other team other than APE.
I don't think it'll work. Yeah.
Okay.
Them and maybe F4Q.
Right. All right, cool. Let's see what happens. Will Joe keep his channel points? Ooh.
They got a lot off nothing.
Ooh, big lurk here. Oh boy. Oh boy.
They sniffed them.
They're
pulling a Nuturn.
They could still go B. I mean, fake B goes C. They could.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see what happens here.
I mean, Boombot's out for TNL. They've committed 2 people now towards this ASA. You might just go A.
See, that's the unlucky part of this, right? This is very flexible. It's such a flexible opener. You're right.
I don't know about this drone. They're still not committed. I don't think they're committed to this.
Oh,
I think they might be selling it. I'm hoping they're selling it for my channel points. Oh.
Wait, bomb's leaving. The bomb's leaving. The bomb's leaving.
A little bit of a sell. Oh, continuing.
Oh, the bomb's leaving.
Continuing the sale. We're full sale.
Oh my gosh. There it is. I'm happy for you, Joe.
It's not B2C, but I'll take the half credit.
That still counts.
That's
a seed plant right there, my homie. Look at that. Look at you go. Hey, look at you go. That turned out to be probably one of the better predictions because they've been kind of rough to make. I like that.
Yeah.
Look how much game knowledge it took, though. Analysis and understanding of the teams.
Ooh,
that Nuturn have that audible. It kind of feels like a play action.
Yes.
Or sorry, an option play. I'm sorry, an option. Wait, what?
Option play? I don't know. You have to ask the football fans back at home because.
Okay, so option. The idea of an option play is where you have multiple options, right? It based on what you see after you snap the ball. You could,
so what would be the difference between play action?
Play action is faking is an intention to fake, and I might get roasted for this. Play action is an intention to fake a run. So you look like, oh, here we're running the ball, and it's like, psych, we're throwing.
Gotcha.
So whereas option plays are more of like,
I would, if we're using those as definitions, then I would say definitely an option play. TS has been very absent with this op, and this is the
I think this is the first kill. I think this is the first kill from TS on an operator that we've seen this game.
Oh, he killed somebody. Never mind.
Yep. Yeah, he got one.
Be critical of nothing.
But this point still stands. TS is. He had several times. Did you see the one where he poked out? He poked out a garage briefly, shot, then rotated all the way to A short, shot, missed. Yep. So he's not landing those. Here's old TNL coming back. They're just giving up sight, which is not necessarily bad, but they've not had good luck retaking it.
No. This is exactly. I wish you could take some of what TNL's doing and just apply it to Nuturn. This is what I want to see. I want to see breach with the team. I want to see the duelist flank. Suggest needs to be the one to step up.
Right. Hunter's Fury, by the way, to get him off the bomb plant briefly.
Okay.
The bomb is down now.
Yes. Full setup. They have full control. They almost have extra credit. If you can get garage with a C site, you're extra credit. This is going to be impossible to break.
This is going to be rough.
Fort Knox. What's that fort in Lord of the Rings that they spend like a movie trying to siege?
Lord of the Rings?
Shout out to Shadow.
Helm's Deep.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, there you go. This is like a Helm's Deep setup.
But look at that. Should we rewind?
Please do.
We're trying to remember Helm's Deep. How do you? This is incredible, dude. Look at this setup here. You got a 100% loss. Supposed
there has to be a comedy of errors.
Usually it's a 50-50, right? You're like, oh, they're on the left and then the right. Nope, they're on both sides. 100%. You should die here.
Yep, it's a formality at that point.
We have set up on C long.
Let's see.
You have someone to peek off of the smokes and whatever.
What alts do Nuturn have? I can't see that necessarily off the stream.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Oh.
Do they have Hunter's Fury? Does Locky have Hunter's Fury? That's a good point.
I should rearrange the overlay for next time. We'll just expand the mini map. But anyways, so sorry, you said Nuturn.
Yeah. What alts do Nuturn have?
Nuturn has a Rolling Thunder.
Okay.
And then TNL on the defense has a Rolling Thunder and Parent.
From the shadows.
From the shadows.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I'd expect Locky to have shock dart setups. She's shown ability in the past. I have these like super long range, like again, being able to deny is his kind of specialty. The fact that they both peek through window again.
Did you see the support come through from sight? So
fault line or smoke, or not smoke, but flash maybe.
So echo from sight. Shots in the garage. They took too long. So that was really, honestly, really big heads up play by Rizzy there. The Omen to bait out the shots.
Does he see two though? Does he hear two maybe?
I think he sees two.
Okay.
Well, regardless they see one. He's like someone's in garage, right? Yep.
That's true.
Like this is one challenge of not having the Sentinel, right? Like there's nothing to slow you down. Look at all this play, and then immediately the help comes.
Yep. Fantastic from TNL there.
Yeah.
The Omen just kind of drawing attention and not committing to the duel, I think, is really important. And yeah, it was a literal comedy of errors. The fact that they
everyone lost their duels. Everyone lost their duels. That's
unfortunate. I do think that the aggressive peaks from window, I think, are unnecessary. Like, yes, maybe you get the blast packs out. I don't think you have to peek into it. I think, again, once you have that lockdown, the onus is on the defense to kind of rotate back in and attack you.
Right.
You don't need to kind of flip the script. You don't need to be able to kill that Omen. The fact that you're denying him garage is big enough. You have to be able to kind of also have presence on the site, which you should have down that lane, but they both committed to the window push and got smoked. Like,
yeah, it feels like a cheeky play that as soon as it falls apart, you need to disengage because they're on site. I mean, it's kind of like you kind of forget that. I was like, oh, wait, hold on. Just no one's on site to cover our backs. Probably a good error for them to have against TNL, honestly, because how often does that kind of play happen?
This could be another B fake if they. Oh, maybe not. I was kind of waiting to see what happens with these duels mid, and maybe they control mid and then rotate it to C. But
one thing I really do like though is how Nuturn is able to. They look very confident once they make the call on what they want to do. Right? There's none of this. Should we go in? Do we go? Or teams on the same page, 100% same page.
Yep. Comes from their background. A lot of experience from I think it's CS. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly if it's School Offensive or 1.6. I know they have some veterans in there, but probably one of the first things they probably instilled into young kids like Lakia and the rest of the bunch. But
I just went back to see if that was a full buy, and it was.
Yeah.
I think the rolling that's breaking down. Good. It was definitely a good Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
TNL's had a lot of practice on retakes.
Yeah. It's the one thing they do decently. Do pride themselves in retaking the site. God bless them. But boy, howdy, do they just evacuate at the first sign of aggression.
This is danger zone here, by the way.
Yeah, this is close. This is not to be expected.
Yeah. Nuturn. They gonna buy? This is a force. Yep. There it is.
Okay.
Allow can't buy a gun.
Does he have knives?
Nope. One away.
Well, okay.
So they should be prioritizing that orb. Yeah, this is danger zone right here. Had to force. They don't want to put it to match point.
They know that an op is around C.
So Xe, the Raze on TNL has ultimate here.
Okay.
From the shadows from Rizzy as well. All right.
There's knives.
There's knives.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was it. That was it. That was it.
Not an easy round by any stretch.
Absolutely not. But they're the I want to say something about intangibles here. Because I'm not surprised that round happens, but we know how hard it was going to be for Nuturn. But we're not surprised. So there's something there that I want to... My caster brain being like, they could do it. They clutch it out. It's like you go from having comedies of errors to having everything go your way, other than like the first pick off, right? So yeah, obviously it's not everything going your way, but
and it's the kind of the beauty and the frustration of Valorant where like you can have the whole Helm's Deep setup and go through a like you said, a complete comedy of errors and just everything falls apart, and then the round literally next to it, adjacent to it, like everything goes right for you. It's like this could very well be a 2v1 clutch, not to be expected, but could happen. Seen Vision Strikers do more absurd stuff than this, you know, more strange things have happened.
Oh, I want to see the... Are they gonna get him?
What?
I mean, it looked like they were about to run into each other there. On the exit frag.
All right, what kind of ultimates are we looking at? I mean, give me the lowdown.
Yeah, so we have Lakia has Hunter's Fury. That's the only thing, and Suggest is 3 kills away from Ray's ulti. So really only Hunter's Fury on the side of Nuturn. And then XC still has XC still has the rocket, and Rizzy still has from the shadows on the side of TNL.
Gotcha.
All right, TS, if you're gonna pop off,
oh, he shoots the boom bot.
Let's do it now. Yeah.
They don't seem too terribly afraid though.
This does not look like an option play this time.
It doesn't look like it, but I kind of hope it is. Fighting into this op is gonna be painful.
Now, I mean, this tells me maybe offensive Hunter's Fury to clear off points. Yep, there we go.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
See, we're having the reads now based on their positioning. We knew they were going to offensively Hunter's Fury.
It definitely, you can play it like lockdown where it kind of forces them out of like some key positions that you don't have to like burn resources for. But
oh, you're right. There's still an option play. I mean, Hunter's Fury buys them the ability to maybe get really easy picks, and maybe they didn't like what they saw, right? They didn't get the picks that they wanted, so they're like, all right, let's get to see.
No info.
Full reset.
They just clear angles that nobody had anyways. Lakia holding. Normally you'd see Lakia holding C lobby, like roll down that lane, kind of deny.
I really want to see the arrow.
Full setup. Big defensive setup. Hopefully they don't aggressive. I know that's not a word, but
yeah, Lakia's got to play the super smart. I think he will.
Yes.
Very patient here, TNL. Lakia's got the move. He's coming in behind him.
Moving on him.
Ooh, but then...
This is still doable.
Oh, the Hunter's Fury is down. He was Hunter's Furying. He just got a spray. That's it.
Wow. There you go.
Wow.
Finally, TNL puts one together. That was much better, much more their pace of play, their style of play. Not necessarily taking aggressive peaks, being able to circumvent the map, always maintain map control, always maintain these setups. You see the intention they play with. Having, again, going back to the Helm's Deep round, having the setup there is very important. That shows that they have a good macro understanding of the game. However, the decision making after that setup, once they have like the post setup play, if you want to kind of call it that, that's when things break down. And it seems, and that's not characteristic. You saw that throughout the entire match. Playing aggressive on CT, not something they normally do. Having Solo, you know, live up to his namesake and be the lurking breach, not something I'm interested in seeing, you know, in the future. Hopefully they don't take this. You know, if they do advance to the semifinals, hopefully that isn't something that we see, because again, you know, you're playing against a very similar caliber of team where, you know, those shots aren't going to be missed.
Right.
Let's call it what it is. That's not going to happen. You're not going to have a Lau going into this C-site plant. That said, out of TNL, I'm ready to kind of bump them back up. This is not the same team that is losing to Apex people. This is a team that can compete. It feels like Ritzy really has kind of started to gel with the team. I like what they're doing with Double Duelist. I think they're probably playing it probably the best of most teams. Vision Striker is not a team that you know, out of the top teams in Korea. Let's set that up. It feels like TNL probably plays Double Duelist the best out of any team in Korea. At least in my perspective, I think they really get a lot of value out of having the Rays being able to flank, setting up and being supportive of this Jet. It's a strange duo you don't see too often coming down that C long, lane. That said, still need some work around the edges. I think they're beautiful when it comes to retaking, very patient, very controlled. I still think it can be abused on their behalf because they're so willing to just give up the site. They're so willing. If you look at some of these retakes, this one in particular, I mean, obviously you have to you literally try to retake from across the map, but if you go back and look at their retakes, they're very what was the one that they were just sitting CT as garage control was set up? I don't think it was this round in particular, but kind of drawing a memory back towards that. Being very passive, they don't know exactly what's happening on C site. They're not interested in checking, playing very safe, very controlled. They'll just play for the retake. They're perfectly fine, waiting for rotations to come in and then trying to execute. Something they do very well, but it happens every single time. They have no change ups. It's very rigid. I think that's going to start to be abused when, if they were to advance, if this is, if TNL ends up winning the series and they advance to the semifinals, I expect a team like Damwon Kia to be able to abuse that. Yeah. I sure as hell expect Vision Strikers to be able to abuse the fact that at any sign of aggression, they immediately retreat and wait for retake. Yeah, absolutely. It's like you're forcing yourself into one play style as opposed to you're reducing your options as a team, and if it's for comfort, then I guess it makes sense. But getting AP Prince vibes.
At least they're doing things.
It's true. It is true. At least they're doing things. At least Lawrence, God bless him, isn't just existing, and flailing about on these sites. So, TNL is getting up there. A team that I didn't have a ton of, faith in making a dent. I'm going to be completely honest when it comes to Masters, very close to taking a game off of arguably one of the second best teams in Korea. Something to keep note of for sure.
For sure. Yeah, I'm excited to see. I mean, we can probably look at the results. I don't really care too much for the spoilers. We got a good read on these teams. Are you trying to stay spoiler free right now?
No, I'll take it. I mean,
all
I
right.
kind of
because we wanted to predict, right, what we think is gonna happen this weekend. Let's do a little bracket. Masters, VALORANT, Korea. All right, let's see. Oh, is this right here?
Yep. So Nuturn does.
Dude, if we saw TNL, I would have been like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like I know what I'm watching later. Hold on, let me.
They do beat TNL. However, if you look at that score, that is not to be expected. Winning 13-10 on Ascent against TNL. At this point, you can't even necessarily say this is Nuturn playing poorly and TNL taking advantage. This is the real deal. TNL, they're playing well. Yes, I'd agree that Nuturn is trying a new style, and it seems to be not great. But yeah, in the head-to-head versus Muyaho, that's the kind of battle for second place. Korea is very much competing for the understudy of Vision Strikers. You look at that team, you look at their win streak of 60 some odd best of games.
I don't know why my overlay just absolutely went kaput.
It put it on you?
I undid all the good work of the positioning and whatnot.
Oh no.
What is going on? I'm gonna delete that.
This bracket couldn't have been set up any nicer though.
Yeah.
It really is. Like the second and third best, or maybe 2A and 2B facing off against one another and then playing. I hate to look past Damwon Kia, but Vision Strikers again. You can't really bet against them right now, and Damwon has definitely not been. Okay, I'll put it like this. It is very much like the new style versus the old style. Both Vision Strikers and Damwon Kia both showing a lot of merit or putting a lot of weight in the sky raise combos. Whereas Muyaho and Nuturn, very standard double duelist, maybe even single duelist on certain maps. Typically just jet raise. very kind of that standard old school style, whereas Vision Strikers and Damwon Kia kind of setting the pace for maybe a meta shift, shifting away from Jet, shifting away from Breach, and maybe bringing in Sky just permanently on most maps. If you look at some of their past games, a lot of Sky usage, which is super interesting. Shout out to Stacks and I think Secret on Damwon. Yeah, Secret, the two probably best support players in the region, really kind of showing off, you know, the viability of Sky.
Yeah. So that's gonna be, so we're gonna have a Sky off there, huh? Dude, this is tonight, huh?
Yep, this is tonight. It might be a late night.
I have stuff in the morning.
Oh,
so it's gonna be big bummer.
Just give us stuff to do next week. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll probably watch these VODs anyways, and we'll see. We shall see. But yeah, are we making our call? What's that? Predictions?
Any thoughts and predictions?
Yeah. I think it's hard to bet against Vision Strikers right now. I think probably the more interesting one to talk about is Muyaho versus Nuturn. I'm trying to remember just watching Muyaho recently, and I feel like this is just really strange to see Nuturn play the way they did today. But they definitely have, it just felt like they weren't quite acting on playing the hand that they were dealt, right? They were forcing hands. Like, you know, you get this thing and you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna get the flush.
You know, like I have it in my hand, but you don't. Yeah, I think the force of Nuturn was kind of the big takeaway. You know, drawing back to solo, being on those permanent flanks, not necessarily being there to support the team. And to be frank, like not a ton of just like, not a big and kind of half breaking shift away from that tempo. They kind of just kept doing it and just shifting exactly who's playing those flanks.
Yeah,
I like the thought process of it, but it's not something again that they typically did. So maybe coming into their own. Maybe we'll see that a little bit more ironed out tonight against Muyaho, but in that same sense, you know, Muyaho, they played, I'd say, a tougher opponent in Damwon Kia and dropped the map.
Yeah.
You know, they win 2-1 versus Damwon Kia, which is no slight to Damwon. I think they're really, again, another team that's starting to come into its own after, you know, losing Challengers 2 after some very last minute roster changes. G-Bob coming in looking lights out, being moved under the Jet finally, kind of again being a gigantic weapon that they constantly can rely on, and then having the ability to call upon Secret to just be this immense support threat, either it be on the Sky or the Breach, maybe even playing Omen. Like the amount of support that he's able to give to this team is insane. And if we're going to measure him against Stacks on Vision Strikers, who is leading, at least regionally, some would say maybe even globally, when it comes to support agents, I look at Secret as probably a very, very close understudy. So Damwon could be a dark horse there again. They are playing against Vision Strikers, so it's, again, like you said, you can't bet against them. So when it comes to the head-to-head between Muyaho and Nuturn, it's kind of a toss-up in my opinion. Like you could go either way, and I wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah, I'm saying Muyaho over Nuturn based on what we saw.
Okay.
No, I'm trying to recall from, if you know, if I'm going to say who are the people I'm really looking at in Muyaho. I think I obviously Buzz is easy to remember. But I think
you remember intro though.
Yes.
Against Damwon, just popping off, having a stellar game. Not somebody who you normally kind of expect. But again, another big smoke player, a big Omen player who's really kind of stepping up for this team and being another weapon, which they kind of have been needing. 10x, I remember constantly just kind of, I hate to just say losing duels, but just taking aggressive peaks and these angles that just don't necessarily seem to fit the success rate of the duels won.
Yep.
It felt like they've needed somebody else other than Buzz to step. I mean, it feels like it's intro.
Yeah. I think they can definitely pick up the pace and really take control of the map and the tempo of the game. So But I'd love to be pleasantly surprised. I think Nuturn definitely can show up but they can't. I don't think they can bring the kind of game that they brought, with what we just saw. But this is definitely the one to watch. I mean, this one's going to be super exciting. Just even thinking about the fact that they're bringing in Sky on both of them, and I think they're both. Well, what's cool to see. This is definitely one I'll want to watch over maybe next week, unless we're going to watch the finals. Like the usage of Sky and what we can learn from that, because I think I don't know other regions. You know, who was using Sky? I can't really speak to say. I can't even say that they're the only region, but
it's little pockets, but it's not as the trend when it comes to Masters, like even in group stage. Like you look at Vision Strikers games, and it's just Sky Rays every game versus Nuturn. You look at their game versus TNL. They played Breach on Split, and then it's right back to Sky Rays on Haven. Same thing with Damwon. I think they're a little bit more scarce with it, and versus F4Q they kind of showed it. Versus Team Muyaho, they played it on Bind, and then 2 other compositions that did not have Sky within it. Or I'm sorry, was I looking at? Yeah, okay, that's right. Again, Damwon has shown a little less favoritism towards Sky, whereas Vision Strikers seems to be leaning on that moving forward.
It feels like a core part of
their strategy, kind of.
Yeah,
agreed. And that's not saying that they can't play Breach. Stax is an insane Breach, and that's what they've gotten. You know, their 50 some odd win streak on is playing, you know, a single duelist, very control heavy, very passive, methodical, structured, you know, all those fantastic, you know, passive buzzwords that, you know, you kind of want to put on some of these more tactical teams. That's what I hope to see from Nuturn, and that's what I'm hoping, you know, using, you know, some of the narratives that you kind of planted at the start of the stream. Hopefully this was an experiment versus TNL. Hopefully this was just, you know, a test. Maybe, you know, call me tinfoil Hattie, but maybe even conditioning their opponents and you know, to try and show an aggressive look, so they have to be able to play for it, to be able to invest in these sniffers, right? These dedicated sniffers that nobody really wants to have to be, you know, forced into. But if you show enough of it, you have to respect it. You have to be able to play honest in that way. And in that sense, I'm going to look at Nuturn maybe winning 2-1 versus Team Muyaho. I think this game versus TNL is uncharacteristic enough that maybe they go back and they play a little bit more passively on defense.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. Exciting indeed. All right. Well, I think it's about that time.
I think so.
Awesome. Well, good stuff. Thanks, Volamel, as always. What you got cooking this week?
We're waiting on some logistics right now. But if you're into Overwatch, the power ranking season is quickly coming upon us. So just be on the lookout for anything of that, you know, sort of feel. Definitely working on those myself. But when it comes to Valorant, probably going to be doing some reviews, or at least written reviews of these finals in the future, looking at, you know, who wins, why they won, stuff of that nature, and definitely diving into this Sky Rays combo, you know, once things progress, because that's a big shift that I think definitely could impact the global scene. Or we're already seeing, you know, looking at NA, we're already seeing a big shift away from Jet when it comes to Bind.
Yeah.
So does that progress? Does Rays really step in as the solo duelist? Do we see double supports maybe in the future? Is there an opening here that, you know, international play could see, you know, coming into Masters 2? We're going to Iceland, so yeah, it's gonna be a big clash of metas if it doesn't necessarily catch on globally.
I'm excited. Good stuff. We're looking forward to the power rankings and the Valorant contents. I'm looking at the grand final, so it's Sunday, very late, but it's only 12:30 or 3:30 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, that's doable.
Very doable. Who knows? We'll put some feelers out. Maybe who knows if there's a little watch along? Who knows? Little co-stream action. Maybe. Possibly late night. Well, we'll ponder on that. But thanks everyone for sticking around. Thanks Volamel again for joining. If you like what you saw, whether you're here, feel free to always down for feedback. So We have all these VODs. We post them to the YouTube channel, which I'm figuring out. I have the playlist actually done, and I've been pushing the highlights there. Actually, trying to do the all the correct stuff that should be happening on those videos finally. And picking up some views. We're starting to pick up some some steam. And I'm certainly having a lot of fun. So yeah, we will continue to do these. So yeah, feel free to comment or just send your feedback wherever you happen to be watching. But for everyone, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here right now, whether you just tuned in or not. Again, we'll have the VODs online, but we'll see you next one. We'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.